Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about the new movie, Together. If you end up enjoying this video, please consider liking and subscribing. That way I don't have to pull some sort of YouTube stunt by drinking musty cave water in order to get more subscribers. I like both Dave Franco and Alison Brie, so I wanted to check this movie out. Instead of talking about the 6 things that make a movie great, I'm just going to share my spoiler-free thoughts on the film. So this movie opens with Tim and Millie, played by Dave Franco and Alison Brie, as they're embarking on a new part of their over decade-long relationship, moving from the city out into the country. One of the things that they do to try to grow closer together is going on a hike, and during that they end up getting lost and stuck in a huge rainstorm. They fall into a cave where Tim decides it's a great idea to drink water out of the cave, and then all these very strange things start happening. Tim goes into a kind of catatonic state and finds himself drawn to Millie in a way that is not natural, and the more he tries to find out about it, the more horrifying things get. Now right off the bat I want to say that this movie felt pretty original. I could definitely see influences from a couple movies, and so I felt like it was kind of a love child between The Empty Man and parts of The Substance. For me, it was pretty easy to see the influence. Despite the pluses of the originality of the film, there were things that held it back from being enjoyable to watch. And that's that for the first half of the movie at least. I just didn't buy it. As Tim begins realizing that something weird is going on, Millie just does not listen to him and just says, "You should just get some sleep." And he clearly is not himself and clearly has insane things going on. And I just don't believe for a second that people who've been together for over a decade just say, "Oh, you should just get some sleep," even though their significant other looks like a zombie. It has some really weird things going on. And I think the movie did that just to prolong the inevitable and push it out a little bit, and so I just didn't really buy it. But I felt like the second half of the movie was pretty good. That being said, the content in this movie is very disturbing. There are some pretty horrifying things that you see on screen, especially near the end of the movie, and that includes partial frontal male nudity, rear male nudity, full frontal and rear female nudity, and some very graphically violent and horrifying images. And I knew leading up to the final moments of the movie that depending on what they decided to do, it would either make or break the film. And while I applaud them for the boldness of the end of the film, it kind of didn't do very much for me. It leaves a bunch of questions, and it just was very strange. Now, I do like that this movie had multiple actually scary moments that were creepy enough to be scary on their own. They weren't jump scares necessarily, and I felt like they were pretty successful in that. There were also a couple pretty funny moments in the movie, and I think that there was something that really worked for me about them going through this horrifying reality, but also having humorous moments in that. Just that frankness of what's going on and how ridiculous it is made it really funny, and I think those moments really worked, but they were barely in the movie. I also think the movie didn't dive into the lore behind what was going on nearly as much as I wanted it to, and once again I found myself being more enticed by the lore behind it instead of what we actually were seeing on screen. So besides interesting lore, some pretty successful horror elements, decent performance from Alison Brie and Dave Franco, this movie was just okay. So with all that considered, I have to give Together a 4 out of 10. I really do love originality, but that's not all that matters when making a movie. And at the end of the day, this one just didn't do a whole lot for me. I think you're safe to skip it instead of spending money on it to go see in theaters. Thank you so much for watching. If you've seen Together, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. As always, I appreciate your love and support, and I'll catch you guys and gals in the next one.